everybody. So, welcome here in the chapter Body Movements, and I'm biology teacher Megha here at askIITians. Okay, so first of all, I'm hoping everybody is happy, safe, and sound and is learning a lot. So, today's chapter that we are going to start is the body movement. Okay, and then this particular chapter will be learning a lot about our body, our system, our skeletal system, which makes up the frameworks of the body and is responsible for the maximum movements or supporting the maximum movements into a body, right? We'll be learning about the skeletal system parts, for example, whatever things are present in the skeletal system, in our skeletal system, the limbs, the skull, the rib cage, the backbone, the different kind of joints which are present. And apart from that, we'll be learning as in how do they move, how exactly are they arranged, and how exactly they are helping in supporting our entire framework, right? So that will be the entire chapter. And apart from that, in today's session, we'll be covering the topics like how do organisms move, how human body and its movements are interrelated and interconnected, and these functions of skeletal system, which are extremely important, and they'll be asked in the exam for sure. And then different parts of the skeletal system, such as the skull, backbone, rib cage, and limbs. Okay, I'll be pretty trying very fiercely to make it interesting for you people, but then you're gonna have to have your notebook and pen in hand for the sake of noting down everything. Okay, and we'll be watching super cool videos on our ways. So moving forward with the introduction, first of all, movement of bones. How exactly the movements of bones possible? You see, we have different type of joints into our bones, which basically help in connecting all the different kind of bones. So if you see at my video, I can move my neck, I can move my fingers, I can move my hands, right? And I can do little dancey dance. That is because we have different kind of joints into a body. Apart from that, there are different type of animals which either do not have the skeletal system, internal skeletal system, or they do not have the skeletal system at all. Okay, not external, not internal, and they still move. Now how do they move? And if they have the skeletal system, why is it different from ours? And if it is different from ours, how exactly is it helping in moving? We'll be learning about all that. Okay, and then, how do organisms move? We can hop, for example, the rabbits, we can skip, we can jump, we can run, we can slither, we can slide, we can glide. We cannot fly, but the birds can. We can swim like the fishes, we can burrow like the moles, we can climb like the monkeys. Okay, we basically have endless ways of movings, right? And all the animals, they move according to their habitat which they're living in, and what size do they have, okay, or what kind of skeletal system do they have, or how they're adapted to their environment, right? On top of that, according to all those factors that I just told you about the animals habitat and adaptation and environment and different kind of skeletal system that they have different body parts to help them. For example, legs, fins, flippers, wings, tails, etc, 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 right? So this one right here is a dog. What is helping in moving? Limbs. If we talk about the human beings, what will help in the moving? Limbs, right? So that is how organisms move. They just keep on moving, okay? There are different types. For example, okay, apart from that, you should know what exactly is the movement and what exactly is the locomotion. Movement could be the any movement into a body. Okay, it could be movement of our hand, it could be movement of our neck, right? There could be multiple movements. But what is locomotion? Locomotion, on the other hand, is the movement of body from one place to the another. Okay, the body is being displaced from the places. Okay, so locomotion is the movement of body from one place to the another, right? Why do we need to move though? Why? I mean, plants don't move. Why do we need to move? Well, to protect ourselves, to fend for ourselves, to find the resources to eat, to go to the washroom, of course, right? and to basically have the suitable places for the sake of living, for moving places for the sake of reproduction. There are different things. All right. See, not only the movement of bones are important in our body, movement of different organs in our body is also important. For example, the jaw is moving, the heart muscles are moving, eyelids are moving, right? And there's the circulation of blood in the body as well. The blood is moving into our body constantly, transporting the different type of materials to different type of organs, right? Now, that being said, we're going to move forward to the skeletal system. What exactly is a skeletal system? What is the function of the skeletal system? It is the internal structure in the organisms like human beings. Okay, there are external skeletal systems as well. For example, in the insects, okay, all of you must have seen the cockroaches, right? I mean, these are the most interesting creatures which are found in the kitchen or the washroom if you do not clean them properly. And they, if you kill them, if you mush them, they just have a gooey, whitish liquid coming out of them. They do not have any bones. Then how do they have a skeletal system? What kind of external skeletal system are you talking about, ma'am? We don't understand. Let me tell you. Basically, the external skeletal system is what their hard covering is. Okay, the hard external covering which is protecting their gooey internal organs is what we call as the external skeletal system, which is made up of the chitin. Okay, now you know what is the external skeletal system, and we obviously are going to study about the internal skeletal system, which is present in the human beings, different kind of mammals, fishes, birds, etc., etc. Now the major function is to support the organism's body by providing the framework. Now if you look at this particular diagram, we have this framework is for the face, this framework is for the lungs, this framework is for the limbs, this framework is for the pelvic area. Okay, this framework is again for the limb, this framework is again for the foot, this framework is for the hand, right? So this basically is kind of a blueprint which is being provided to our body, onto which the different organs are attached or arranged, right? And then the entire organism is made. Now that being said, we're going to move forward to the skeletal system. What exactly is it made up of? What exactly it is made up of? Well, it is made up of the bones, and there are different type of bones in our body which are arranged with each other, which are let's say attached with each other. Okay, you'll be learning more about the different type of bones in the higher classes. Okay, but for the time being, we're just going to move forward with the functions of the skeletal system. Okay, and see, we have the bones are made up of what? Bones are made up of calcium and potassium, right? They are made up of the bone cells as well. There are different type of bone cells which are present in the body. For example, we have three type of bone cells. Yes, you heard me right. Bones are also made up of cells. We have osteoblast, osteoclast, and osteocyte. Okay, now osteoblast is the one which makes up bones. Osteoclast is the one which eats or destroys bones. And osteocyst is the one which maintains the bones. Okay, it is very important for you to understand that we need osteoclast very dearly. Why? Because the calcium in the bones, if it is released into our blood, it helps in the clotting of the blood. For example, if you're playing outside, you fell and you had an injury, so that injury will have a blood flowing through itself. Now that blood needs to be coagulated, it needs to be clotted. Now that happens with the help of the calcium, as calcium is the fourth clotting factor of the blood. Okay, there are different clotting factors which help in the blood clotting. Now, these are the type of bone cells that we just studied about. Okay. And osteoblasts do the opposite thing of the osteoclast. They take up the calcium from the blood and make up the bone. So at this time, this is a cycle which is constantly going on. The balance is kind of maintained. Okay. Now, moving forward, we have the skeletal system having different type of joints which facilitate the movements. Facilitate as in which make sure that there are movements in the different areas of the body. Otherwise, we'd be a rigid structure like that, and we'd be moving like this, which is like really, really stupid. Like we'd be looking like Legos. Right. So to make sure that we do not look like Legos, there are different joints into our body. In higher organisms, of course, we have the muscles and cartilages and tendons and ligaments. You'll be learning more about these in the 9th standard, first of all, followed by in the 11th standard, if you choose biology, that is. Okay. So we have the pivot joint, which is present in the neck. We have the ball and socket joint, which is present in the shoulder, so that we can move our hands like this around. Okay. We have the hinge joint, which is present in the elbow, which allows the movement of only up to the 180 degrees. Okay. And then we have the different type of joints. The saddle or the Olympiad or the gliding joint, will be learning about all of these. Okay. But before that, let's just get ahead with the functions of the skeletal system. Functions of the skeletal system. Now, I know that I have given you the skeletal system functions already, but there are multiple more which you need to understand and study. Okay. So we have the skeletal system functions right here. So first of all, let's talk about how the skeletal system makes the framework of our body. Okay, framework means that it basically makes the entire blueprint of our body onto which the body is based upon, right? We discussed about this already. Yes. Then it provides the support and gives the shape. Yes. Okay. It also helps in the protecting the delicate organs. For example, as you see the rib cage right here, inside the rib cage we have the lungs and the heart, which are the very vital organs of our body, which are very important and let's say crucial organs of our body which we require in order to live. So those are protected with the help of the rib cage, which is present right here. Right. Now, that being said, we have the brain, which is protected inside the skull. Without no brain, would be dead. Right. And then the backbone protecting the spinal cord. Understand this thing, backbone is different and spinal cord is different. Spinal cord is a bunch of nerves which arise from the brain, and they are spreading throughout the entire body. Okay. And those major nerves, they are protected with the help of the spinal cord. A spinal cord acts like a column. Okay. You see, this is the column, and it is a hollow column, and this hollow column through this hollow column will have the spinal cord. Okay. Now, that being said, we're going to move forward to a super cool video, first of all, and then we'll be continuing with the chapter. Okay. Now, here we are. We'll be learning a little about the skeletal system, and I'll be explaining in between if there's any technical term. All right, let's get on with it.
System. This is a human skeleton, just a model of human bones. Don't get scared. Let's learn about the skeletal system. Every person has a skeleton built up of so many bones. These bones give your body structure, protect your internal organs, let you move, and much more. The adult human body has 206 bones, and an infant has 300 bones.
See, it's very important to understand that the human body, which has about 206 bones, and the infants, as in the newborn babies, which have the 301 bones, what is the difference and how is it overcome? How the adults have only less bones, okay? Because the bones which are present in the adults are the result of fusion of multiple bones which are present in the infant, and the fusion of like 4 to 5 bone occurs, and it forms one single bone, and that is how the 301 bones, they reduce to 206 bones because of the fusion when we are becoming an adult. Okay, now moving forward.
This has become some smaller bones combined together and thus form bigger bones. Now look closely here. This is our skull. It carries our brain and also supports our face. It protects the brain from knocks and bumps. We have a very small bone in our ears, the stirrup. It is the smallest bone of our body, about 2.5 to 3.3 millimeters.
This stirrup bone that she's talking about, this is present in our ear. Okay, in our ears we have three small bones each: malleus, incus, and stapes, or the stirrup. Okay, and the stirrup is the smallest bone in the human body. Moving forward.
There's only. These are called the clavicle, or shoulder bones, or collarbone. There are two clavicles, one on the right and one on the left. It is the only long bone in the body that lies horizontally. Now, look at this. It's a sternum, a long, flat bone. Oh, did you notice? It's shaped like a necktie. It's located in the center of our chest. And this cage-like thing is our rib cage. Our heart and lungs are behind these bones. So, you can say rib cage is the curved wall of ribs that surrounds and protects our heart and lungs. Now, look at the bones of the hand. This bone in the hand is called the humerus, the long bone of the upper arm extending from the shoulder to the elbow. There are two more long bones in our hands, radius and ulna. They form the lower arm. And these bones in the palms, these over here, are called the carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges. Now, let's see the back of this. Look, it's not a single bone. It is built of 33 small bones called vertebrates, and this whole structure is known as the spine. The spine helps you twist and bend. Also, it holds our body upright. Yippee! Now, look at this. See, this is the pelvic girdle. It protects the bladder and uterus. The longest and strongest bone in our body is the femur, and these two bones in the lower leg are fibula and tibia. These over here are the tarsals, metatarsals, and phalanges. It's hard, right? Human bone is made of collagen mostly. It is a protein that is woven into a flexible framework. It also contains calcium carbonate, calcium phosphate, and minerals that add strength and harden the frame.
Remember when I was telling about the bones, which is made up of the bone cells and the calcium and phosphate? This is what I was talking about. And collagen is the another abundant protein which is found in the animals. Okay, in all the animals. Moving forward.
The combination of collagen and calcium gives the bone its flexibility and strength. You know a lot about the skeletal system. Let's go home. We should take proper care of our bones. We should do exercise, running, dancing, jumping, and we should play outdoor sports. It makes our bones strong. You know, if your body doesn't have enough calcium, it will take it from your bones, making your bones weaker. Ta-da! Good reason to drink milk. Protect those skull bones by wearing a good helmet for bike riding, skating, and other sports. Bye-bye!
Now we know how bones are, how they're made up of. We just had an overview of different kind of bones which are present in a body, and why should you play outdoor sports and drink a lot of milk. All right, moving forward with the lesson. Now here we are, the skeletal system parts. We'll be learning about the different parts in this session. The skull, first of all. Human skull is like the skull. Human skull is the bone or the type of structure which has the type of joints which are immovable. Okay, these type of joints do not have any capability or any capacity to move. That is why this is one rigid structure, and it is very much important for this to be rigid in order to protect our brains, okay, from any kind of injuries or bumpings. Okay, so we have about 8 plate shaped bones joined together, and the meeting point are called the sutures. So let's say if this is the brain, it will be having this type of meeting points. Okay, and these type of meeting points are called as the sutures. On top of that, along with the cranium, we have the facial bones which are making up our entire face, and there are there are 14 facial bones which are present. Okay, and mandible is the only movable bone in the human skull. Mandible is the lower jaw that we're talking about. So when I'm moving my face, when I'm moving my mouth, you see only the lower bone is moving, only the lower jaw is moving, and which is called as the mandible. So this is the lower jaw which moves, right? Now moving forward to the different type of cranial bones which are present in the body. We have the parietal, which is present in the center right here, and then we have the frontal. Frontal is the one which makes up the forehead, okay? And then see, parietal bone, the center frontal, which makes up the forehead. Then we have the sphenoid bone. Sphenoid bone is present right here. If you see my videos, sphenoid bone is present right here, right? And then we have the temporal bone. Temporal bone is present right here where I have my headset, okay? Temporal bone is the one which covers the entire hearing cavity. And then we have the occipital one, which is present at the back of our head, right? And then we have the ethmoid bone. Ethmoid bone is present near the sphenoid bone right here, okay? So these are the different type of cranial bones which are present in the human body. And then we have the skeletal system backbone. Now, see, skeletal system backbone is the most important part of the skeletal system. Why? Because without backbone, we won't be able to move. We won't be able to sit or stand or lie down properly. Okay. And if there's a huge injury into the backbone, it'll be very difficult for us to move on our own. We'll always be in requirement of the help from another people. Okay. And it'll be a burden on like on those people, as well as will be a burden on ourselves. So whenever you are going outside, make sure that you're well protected. Make sure that you're doing proper exercises in order to avoid any kind of weakening of your bones. Okay. So human are vertebrates. Vertebrates are the animals which have a vertebral column, or the animals which have a backbone for that matter. You'll be learning more about the vertebrates or the invertebrate animals which do not have the backbone in the ninth standard in the chapter Diversity in the Living Organisms, right? Apart from that, the human skeletal system has the bones, cartilage, ligament, and tendons. Let's see. Cartilage is the one which is the type of protein, or which is the type of connective tissue, okay, connective tissue of our body, which helps in connecting a lot of part of our body. And cartilage is present on our nose tip, okay, it is present on the ears, it is present here in the larynx, which is the voice box of our body. Ligaments are the ones which connect bones to different bones, and they also help in the proper strengthening, okay. And then we have the tendons which join muscles to bone, muscles to bone. There's one more thing, ligaments help in the smoothing of joint, okay. It is very important that the joints are smooth, they have a smooth surface in order to move properly and let's say effortlessly, okay. If the joints are not smooth, it will be difficult for them to move and it will be very painful for us, right? Now back to the backbone. I mean, okay, that kind of rhymed, didn't it? Back to the backbone. So we have this vertebral column and it will have multiple parts. It will have the cervical vertebra, which is present here in the neck. Then it will be having the thoracic vertebra, which is present here in let's say in synchronization of the chest. Okay. Then we have the lumbar vertebra, which are present in the lower back. And we have the coccyx, which is present in the hip bone. So coccyx is like the hip bone. Okay. And these are present in the lower back. And thoracic vertebra, it is present in the chest region, at the back of the chest region, basically, right? At the back of chest region. And then cervical vertebra present in the neck region, right? Now, that being said, we'll be moving forward to how exactly these are present. Okay. See, one more thing, when we are talking about the backbone of our skeletal system, backbone has about 33 small ring like vertebra which are joined which are joined end to end. So 33 ring like structures are present which are joined end to end, joined end to end, right? Now, apart from that, the backbone has about 5 regions, which I've just told you about. It'll have the neck, the cervical part, it'll have the chest, the thoracic part, it'll have the belly, the lumbar region, okay, and then it'll have the hip, which basically is the coccyx region, and then it'll also have a tail. The coccyx region, which is present right here, it'll have both the hip and the tail part, okay. And the first 24 vertebra of the backbone, they are very elastic. Okay, they are movable. That is why we can move like this and like this. Okay, and the main nerve cord, which is arising from the brain, passes through those first 24 vertebra, and the later 5 vertebra, they fuse together and form the coccyx. Okay, now that being said, we'll be moving forward to the skeletal system, rib cage. Rib cage, on the other hand, they're the long curved bones which make the rib cage, and there are total 24 bones present in the 12 pairs. Okay, what you see right here is there are 12 pairs of the rib cage. It is very important for you to understand that rib cage bones, they basically have about two heads. Interesting, right? Two heads, just like a snake. So the two heads, they are present on the side of spinal column. Okay, spinal column or the vertebra, and they help in proper attachment. Now that being said, we'll be moving forward to the limbs, but before limbs we're going to move forward to the rib cage, and then we're going to watch a super cool video. All right, and then we'll move forward to the limbs. All right, here we are moving forward with the video.
The structure of the rib cage. In your body, the framework of the chest is called the thoracic cage, or in common terminology, the rib cage. Its design functions to protect vital organs, such as your heart and lungs, and also provides points of attachment for many muscles. The thoracic or rib cage is comprised of three main parts: the sternum, the ribs, and the thoracic vertebrae. The sternum, also called the breastbone, is located in the middle of your chest, and it is composed of three parts. The manubrium is the widest part at the top of the bone, the body, located in the middle, and the xiphoid process at the bottom. There are a total of 12 ribs, and they originate on or between the thoracic vertebrae in the vertebral column, and they wrap around the sides of your body and end in the front of your body. Ribs 1 through 7 are called true ribs because they individually connect to the sternum by way of cartilaginous extensions called costal cartilages, which you can see here in this model. Ribs 8 through 12, located at the bottom of the rib cage, are called false ribs because they do not directly connect to the sternum from their own costal cartilages. Ribs 8 through 10 fuse with the costal cartilage of rib 7, and ribs 11 and 12 are called floating ribs because they do not connect with the sternum at all. The thoracic vertebrae make up the thoracic curvature in the vertebral column, as you can see here. Each of the 12 ribs articulate or form a joint with the corresponding vertebra. So, for example, rib 11 articulates with vertebra T11, and some of the ribs, such as rib 9, articulates with T9 and the vertebra above T8. And that be the basics on the structure of the rib cage.
Now, I know you must not have understood a few terms, but that is completely fine. I'll just summarize the entire structure for you. All right. Now, going ahead with the entire structure summarization, it's very important for you to understand that we have about 24 bones, that is 12 pair of ribs. We have the 12, we have the true ribs from 1 to 7, and from 7 to 10, we have the false ribs. These are called as the true ribs because they're directly attached to the sternum bone, which is present right here, with the help of the costal cartilage or the cartilage. You can just call it cartilage. On the other hand, the 7 to 10 ribs are the ones which attach to the ribs, which basically attach not 7 to 10, it's 8 to 11. Okay, so this 8 to 11 ribs, these are the ones which attach the cartilage of the seventh bone, and then they go ahead and attach with the sternum. So they're not directly attaching. That is why they're called as the false rib. Whereas the 12th pair of the ribs, it is called as the floating ribs. Why? Because they are not attaching to the sternum at all. Right, this is the one thing that you need to know, and they are kind of articulating, or they are kind of let's say synchronizing their positions along with the thoracic vertebra, which is present right here with them. All right, now that being said, we're going to move forward to the limbs. Human appendicular skeleton, or the human skeleton, it is made up of multiple bones of the upper limbs and the lower limbs, pectoral girdle and the pelvic girdle. Right, important part about the limbs is that we have the hand bones and the leg bones, right? So moving with the hand bones, the upper hand has the longest bone, which you see right here. Okay, this upper hand has the longest bone, and this is attached to the shoulder. Okay, and then this forearm has two bones which are attached to the longest bone into a body, right? So the one which we have in the longest bone, which is like the strongest bone of the body, or the, let's say, the type of bone which is present in the into the body, it basically is called as the human upper arm bone, or the humerus. Okay, so this is the humerus bone that we are talking about, and the two more bones are present right here, which are starting from elbow to the hand part. We call them ulna and radius. I'm going to write the names right here. We have the humerus, and we have ulna and radius, right? And apart from that, we have the bones which are present into the hands. We have the metatarsal, tarsals, and phalanges. Phalanges are the ones which are present in the fingers, and metatarsals are the ones which are present in the palm area, at the back of the palm, and tarsals are the ones which are present in the wrist. All right. Now that being said, we're going to move forward to the limbs of these are the hand bones. Then we're going to move to the leg bones, right? So leg bones, we have the thigh bone, which is the longest bone, which is called as the femur. Okay, and then we have the tibia and fibula. Femur, first of all, and then we have the tibia and fibula. It's very important for you to make sure that you do not get confused between these two. Okay, these are the leg bones, right? So this is the femur, this is tibia and fibula, and this is the humerus, this is radius and ulna, right? So that being said, we're going to move forward and finish today's lecture. All right, I'm going to see you more in the upcoming lecture. So that's all for today. I'm going to see you in the next session. Take care, learn a lot. Bye bye.